Picture this. It's 1945 and the world's most competitive siblings just moved into the same house. The United States and the Soviet Union. Two brothers who helped defeat a common enemy, but now they're stuck living under the same roof, and they despise each other. The US is that overachieving older brother who's really into capitalism, freedom, and showing off how much money he has. Always buying the latest gadgets, always talking about individual achievement, always bragging about being the best. The USSR is the intense younger brother who's all about communism and collective success. Everything should be shared equally, strong central planning, discipline, and order above all else. He thinks the older brother is selfish and wasteful. They can't stand each other, but they also can't actually fight because they both have the family heirloom, nuclear weapons. One real fight and the whole house burns down with everyone in it. So instead, they compete at everything. Who has the better economic system? Who has more allies? Who has the cooler lifestyle? But in the 1950s, they find the ultimate competition ground: space. Because if you can't fight your sibling directly, you launch rockets into orbit to prove you're smarter. For years after World War II, both brothers have been working on rocket technology, but they're keeping it quiet. Secret military projects, missile development, all very hush-hush. Then, October 4th, 1957, everything changes. The Soviet Union launches Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite into orbit around Earth. A little metal ball, 58 centimeters across, beeping as it circles the planet. This is the younger brother running into the living room yelling, "Mom, Dad, look what I made! I put something in space!" The United States is stunned. They're supposed to be the technologically advanced one. They're supposed to be winning at everything, and their little brother just beat them to space? American newspapers are freaking out, politicians are panicking, the public is terrified. If the Soviets can put a satellite in orbit, they can put a nuclear warhead on top of a missile that reaches anywhere in America. This isn't just sibling rivalry anymore. This is a national crisis. President Eisenhower is trying to calm everyone down. It's just a small satellite. It's not a big deal. We have our own space program. But Americans aren't listening. They're looking up at the night sky, watching Sputnik pass overhead, and they're thinking, we're losing. The USSR is absolutely loving this. They're doing victory laps. Newspaper headlines in Moscow are celebrating their technological superiority. Khrushchev, the Soviet leader, is gloating to the world about socialist achievement. 1 month later, November 57, the Soviets do it again. Sputnik 2. This time with a passenger, Laika the dog, the first living creature in orbit. The US is like, are you kidding me right now? We haven't even launched one satellite and you're already sending dogs? America tries to catch up. December 57, they attempt to launch their first satellite, Vanguard TV3. It gets 4 feet off the launch pad, falls back down, and explodes on live television. The press calls it flopneck and kaputnik. This is the older brother trying to do a kickflip to impress everyone, eating pavement, and having the younger brother film it and show everyone at school. America finally succeeds in January 58 with Explorer 1. They're in space now, but they're playing catch-up, and everyone knows it. The score is clear. USSR is winning. The Sputnik launch changes everything in America. This is a wake-up call wrapped in a crisis, wrapped in national humiliation. Congress immediately dumps money into education, especially science and math. They create NASA in 1958, a civilian space agency dedicated to winning this competition. Schools start pushing STEM education hard. Every kid in America is suddenly supposed to become a scientist or engineer. The message is clear. We're falling behind and we need to catch up fast. April 12, 1961. Yuri Gagarin becomes the first human in space. He orbits Earth once and returns safely. The USSR just scored again. And it's not just a goal, it's a game-changing highlight reel moment that will be in history books forever. The younger brother just won the Olympic gold medal, while the older brother is still trying to qualify. The Soviet Union is parading Gagarin around like a hero. He's meeting world leaders, giving speeches, becoming a global celebrity. The message to America is clear. We're not just ahead, we're dominating. President Kennedy is furious. He's only been president for a few months and he's already getting destroyed in the space race. He needs a win, and he needs it badly. 3 weeks later, May 1961, America finally puts a man in space, Alan Shepard, but it's a suborbital flight. He went up and came back down. He didn't orbit Earth like Gagarin did. It's like your sibling ran a marathon and you jogged around the block and claimed you're even. Everyone knows America is still losing. Kennedy calls his advisors together and basically says, what can we do that's so big, so impressive, that even if we're behind now, we can win later? The answer, the moon. Nobody's been to the moon. Nobody's even close to being able to go to the moon. It's the ultimate flex. If America can get there first, all the Soviet victories won't matter. May 25th, 1961. Kennedy stands before Congress and makes his famous declaration. We're going to the moon by the end of this decade, and we're going to do it before the Soviets. This is the older brother saying, you won the science fair? That's cute. I'm building a rocket ship to the moon in 9 years. Watch me. It's an absolutely insane promise. America doesn't have the technology. They don't even know if it's possible. But Kennedy just committed the entire nation to doing it anyway. Why? Because losing to your sibling is unacceptable. The space race just became the moon race. Both sides start pouring billions into their space programs. The USSR keeps racking up first. First woman in space, Valentina Tereshkova, 1963. First spacewalk, Alexei Leonov, 1965. First spacecraft to impact the moon, first to orbit the moon, first to soft land on the moon. Every Soviet first is another point on the scoreboard. They're still winning. But America is building toward the big one. The Mercury program gets Americans into orbit. Then the Gemini program develops the technologies needed for a moon mission. Spacewalks, docking spacecraft, long-duration flights. The Soviets are winning the battles, but America is preparing to win the war. Both sides are taking massive risks. Rockets are exploding. Test pilots are dying. In 1967, 3 American astronauts, Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee, die in a fire during a launch pad test. The same year, Soviet cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov dies when his spacecraft crashes on return to Earth. The competition is costing lives, but neither side is backing down. Too much national pride is at stake. The U.S. is spending 4% of the entire federal budget on Apollo, about $25 billion, which is over $280 billion in today's money. The USSR is spending similar amounts in secret. All this money, all this effort, all these risks to beat your sibling. The Soviets are preparing their own moon mission. They're building a massive rocket called the N-1. If they can get it working, they'll beat America to the moon and win the whole competition. America's racing against time. The end of the decade is approaching. Kennedy's deadline. And Kennedy isn't even alive to see it. He was assassinated in 1963. But the promise remains. The Apollo program is progressing. Apollo 8 orbits the moon in December 1968 with astronauts. They're getting close. The Soviets try to launch their N-1 rocket. It explodes. They try again. It explodes again. Their moon rocket keeps failing, but they're not giving up. They could still win this. Everything comes down to one mission, Apollo 11. July 16, 1969. Apollo 11 launches from Kennedy Space Center with 3 astronauts, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. The whole world is watching. Over 600 million people tune in, about 20% of Earth's population. The rocket works. The journey to the moon takes 3 days. The spacecraft enters lunar orbit. Everything is going according to plan. July 20th, 1969. Armstrong and Aldrin board the lunar module and separate from the main spacecraft. They begin their descent to the moon's surface. Alarms start going off. Computer overload warnings. They're running low on fuel. Armstrong has to manually pilot the lander, searching for a safe spot. With about 25 seconds of fuel remaining, the lunar module touches down. The Eagle has landed. The whole world exhales. A few hours later, Armstrong opens the hatch, climbs down the ladder, and steps onto the moon's surface. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. America just won. After years of losing, after being humiliated by Sputnik, after watching the Soviets wreck of victory after victory, America just pulled off the ultimate comeback. They put 2 men on the moon. They did it before the decade ended, just like Kennedy promised, and they did it with the whole world watching. The older brother just did the impossible and made it look easy. The Soviet Union keeps trying to downplay it. Oh, we weren't even trying to go to the moon. We're focused on space stations now. But everyone knows they were trying, and everyone knows they lost. America goes to the moon 5 more times. Apollo 12, 14, 15, 16, and 17. 12 Americans walk on the lunar surface between 1969 and 1972. The USSR never makes it. Their N-1 rocket fails every test. Eventually, they abandon the program entirely and pretend they never cared. The space race is over. America won. So what happens after one sibling decisively beats the other? Well, they both run out of steam. By the mid-1970s, both the US and USSR realize they've spent absurd amounts of money trying to outdo each other. The American public starts asking, why are we spending billions on moon rocks when we have problems here on Earth? The Apollo program gets canceled. No more moon missions. The Soviets focus on space stations and long-duration flights, things America isn't doing, so they can still claim victories. Then something weird happens. They start cooperating. 1975, the Apollo-Soyuz mission. An American spacecraft and a Soviet spacecraft dock in orbit. The crews shake hands in space. It's symbolic, the Cold War is still happening, but at least in space, they're working together. The competition mellows into coexistence. Both sides keep space programs going, but the frantic pace of the 1960s never returns. Eventually, after the Soviet Union collapses in 1991, America and Russia start actually cooperating for real. Today, they work together on the International Space Station. The siblings finally grew up, stopped competing, and realized they can accomplish more working together. But make no mistake, we went to the moon because of sibling rivalry. No competition, no moon landing. All that incredible technology, all those scientific breakthroughs, all that human achievement, it happened because 2 countries couldn't stand the thought of their rival being better. The space race gave us satellite technology, GPS, advanced computers, material science breakthroughs, and inspiration for millions of people who watched humans walk on another world. All because 2 brothers refused to let the other one win. The space race, when sibling rivalry launched humanity into a new era. Most expensive, mom said it's my turn in history. And somehow, it worked out pretty well for everyone.